party, we like to party, party, party all night long. Party, party, we like to party, 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 never go home. Party, party, we like to party, party, party all night long. Party, party, we like to party, 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 never go home.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to episode 48 of the Ball Talk Pod. Unfortunately, we are recapping the Thunder dropping game one of the NBA Finals by the score of 111 to 110 after some more Pacers voodoo magic to escape what felt like a for sure Thunder win and lead by only lead for 0.3 of a second for the entire game and steal game one in Oklahoma City. Chris, I think I know the answer, but how are we feeling, man?
I feel terrible. I ran out of the arena, ran to my car, jumped in my car, and drove fast home. I just did not want to be there anymore. Not for a second of that game. I guess for 0.3 of a second of that game, I thought we were going to lose. I did not feel like we were going to lose at all. It felt
I think
like
you and about 18,000 others had the same thought.
It felt like in the fourth quarter, the Pacers just couldn't miss. And maybe this is how they've been all postseason. I just haven't watched enough Pacers. It felt like they couldn't miss. It felt like that when you have their big guy, what's his name?
Miles Turner.
Miles Turner doing a kind of fadeaway bank shot three that goes in. They just could not miss. And then we could not hit a shot. Our shot making was abysmal. I think we shot a total of 39.8% from the field, and they shot 46% from three, made 18 threes. It's just like, don't know what to say.
The thing is, like, I'm in some group chats and people are like,
oh congrats, you're in some group chats.
I don't want to be in them tonight because not anyone saying anything great. A lot of people are like, oh, the Pacers won't ever play like this again. It's like, this has been the recipe all postseason. All postseason. 100%. Mm-hmm. They shot, I looked on the way out, their 3-point percentage throughout the playoffs has been 40%, just above 40%. They shot 46% tonight. They went 10 of 20 in the second half. The big story of this whole game, especially in that first half, I mean, they had 9 turnovers in the first quarter alone. And that was a huge storyline going into this series, that they did not turn the ball over. And the Thunder came out and took it from them to go right off the jump. And it made you think like Twitter was talking about a sweep at halftime because of how dominant the Thunder defense was. And everyone's going to say, both sides, that we can play better. The Thunder absolutely can play better. The Pacers can play better, especially mopping up those turnovers. But they only had, I think, 6 turnovers in the second half. So all of that came in the first half. And throughout this playoffs, it's always felt like the team who feels like they should be up more at halftime is the team that ends up losing, because in so many situations in this playoffs against this Pacers team, you can ask the Bucks, you can ask the Cavs, you can ask the Knicks. They're never out of it. Like, they just keep clawing. They shoot it well enough. Obviously, as we saw tonight, that they're 3 possessions away from a 9-0 run at any given time. And it even though it felt like we always had it, it just was like, man, we're not hitting enough shots to keep them at arm's length.
Our shot making was not good enough tonight. And
I mean, we shot sub 40 from the field as a team.
I think, and the players talked about it after the game. They felt like they were shots they've gotten all season. They just weren't making them tonight. And I thought, that's true of a lot of like J-Dub stuff. He was getting to the rack and just could not find a way to get the ball into the hoop. And so I expect that to be better. I just, Shea with 38, 14 of 30 from the field. Felt like he could have gotten to the line a few more times. I don't know. It's hard to think. And then I look at the stats. I really thought we out-rebounded them, but they ended up with 56 rebounds to our 39.
Yeah, we were talking about that. We were talking about the rebounding driving home. Buddy Breek came in from Columbus, so don't worry, guys. If Breek's the bad omen, he's not coming to any more games. He's leaving the state.
Get him out of here.
Switching time zones. But we shot 16 more shots than they did, and when you generate that was off of the turnovers and things like that, they're going to have more opportunities to rebound.
Sure.
So there is context there. The biggest
good
point
context
for that is that we went small in this game, and it was a storyline that people love to see. And I like right even before this, my For You side of Twitter or X, Andrew Slecht, who knows a lot of basketball, was praising Mark for going Kaysen, and everyone was like, it matches up so much better with what the Pacers do. It's basically 5 out with two, like, Siakam and Turner, who are honestly guards and big man bodies to match up with them. And you were forcing all those turnovers and you were playing great. And it just flipped, it felt at the second half, especially in that fourth quarter, there were so many opportunities where we had a chance to kill a possession and get the ball back, and there was an offensive rebound. They had 5 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter. We had 0 because like there was one, we were up 3. If you get a stop and a score, it really puts pressure back on Indiana. At this point, who knows if they could or could not have pulled it off.
They probably could have pulled it off.
But Siakam gets a putback over Shea because Shea and Dub are your tallest guys on the court. And you did that to match up with Indiana's shooting and their spacing. And it's one of those things. It's like, it sucks we lost. It's a gut punch. It's a huge gut punch. It's a situation that everyone's going to try to compare to Denver. And obviously it feels very similar, but it's a different team. It's a different team. It's a new series. And it's like it just obviously goes to show Game 2 is a must win, and the changes that you'll see from Mark, whether he sticks with Kaysen in the starting lineups, what Indiana does to counter what we did. Obviously, they made a great adjustment, whatever it was, basically just saying hang on to the ball in the second half. Like both teams can play better. That is a fact, but you have to be like usually the more desperate team that plays in control goes and wins, and that's what the Thunder have to be on Sunday. And I don't know. It's hard. It sucks. I think the worst part is the time off between now and Sunday. I really
wish we were playing tomorrow, honestly. I just wish we were
even Saturday.
Yeah. That extra day feels just like extra day of agony for the fans.
You would have had a weekend of bliss if you pull that off. Even if Halliburton misses and you only win by 1 or 3, if you go hit free throws or whatever, you would have had just an all-time weekend. But I will throw this stat out there, and this is, researched by Ball Talk themselves. The Thunder are 0-1 in the NBA Finals when they win Game 1.
That's 0% true.
0% winning percentage.
I thought about it on the way home. I thought we lost the first one, we won the first one in 2012. Granted, that was at home, and then they stole a second. So it's important, like you talked about, Game 2 is a must win. You can't get into the situation that the Knicks got into, right? The Knicks dropped Game 2, and then
so did the Cavs.
You have to go find a way to win this Game 2, and then go steal one in Indiana, like you did in Denver. Not saying this is the same series, like you talked about. It's a totally different team who shoots the hell out of the ball, but you can't do what Indiana's done the past 2 series, which is win 2 games in a row, steal 2 at per other person's arena, and then it feels you're desperate. But I hope that, because people have been crowning us the champions for the past week, everybody online said, and everybody talking on ESPN or CBS has Thunder in 5, Thunder in a short series, and maybe this will kind of recorrect us, and maybe we won't be as big of favorites, and we have our back against the wall, and we're able to play with more sort of desperation. So
one of the stats that I saw on Twitter before we hopped on, and I think it was the biggest key to the game outside of how our second and third best players played tonight. The talk was the turnovers, as we said, and I think they ended up forcing 25 turnovers, but we only scored 11 points off those turnovers. And so if you're not generating the offense off of that, who cares?
100%. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. At halftime, I was able to finally pull the stats up, and it was like we had 5 or something, 5 or 6 points off turnovers, and they had like 4. and we had 20. We forced 21 turnovers, and they had like 3. It's just like it didn't make sense. The math wasn't mathing there. I don't know. It sucks being on this side of one of those Halliburton miracle plays.
Yeah, and I was bummed because with 0.3 seconds left, you don't have time to get a shot off. You had to do something at the rim, and they knew that, and it just was like that never stood a chance. That lob to Chet. I think we need to. It's harder to go small like we did. I think we're going to see a lot more like I don't know if double big's the answer, but less time without one of them on the court.
I think we'll see more Kenny hustle. I think maybe he's sort of our answer to that, but I don't know. I'm not in there.
He could be. Mark's going to shuffle the deck. I can tell you that.
He's got to bring it all out there.
I think Dub had some good moments, and one of the moments that sticks out that was very loud, and then obviously immediately switched right afterwards, is there was a possession where we had played great defense twice in a row, and they'd kind of lucked into either like the ball went out of bounds on us off our foot, and a weird or a shot clock reset from a shot clock violation to giving it back to 22 seconds. Dub steals the inbound pass and goes the other way, and we're up 15 with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. And obviously that's an eternity in an NBA game.
Especially with the Pacers on the other side shooting the ball like they did.
Yeah. And in that moment, it was like Dub had gotten going a little bit. Like he ended up scoring 17 tonight, and he had a lot of those in that little fury. And it felt like, okay, fourth quarter Dub did his job. Shea's going to come in soon. Just kind of keep it here. And the next thing you know, the Pacers went on a 7-0 run, and it was an 8-point game. Mm-hmm. And so you couldn't stretch anything out. And again, like we've talked about it before, and I guess it's more now with the Pacers with how they shoot, because we were saying like these 11 and 12 point leads, which is what the game was played at the majority of the time. Like it felt like the whole game was played at Thunder up 11 until the fourth quarter. But you got to find a way to go you have to find a way to go for the knockout punch in a way that doesn't hamper you if it doesn't land. And it felt like we were trying to go for the big one sometimes. Dort hit several uppercuts. I mean, he played phenomenal. I think he was the player of the game, even with Shea playing is great.
Awesome, yeah.
I mean, the parallelism to the Nugget series, Caruso played out of his mind and shot the ball incredibly in game one, and you wasted that game. And that's what you did with Lou Dort tonight. He had 15 points, 5 of 9 from 3. He had 4 rebounds in the first quarter. I mean, just all over the place. He was defending at an all-NBA level, which we've come to expect. And you wasted that game because you had Dub go 6 of 19, 31% from the field, 25% from 3, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Chet felt like a no-show, and there were a couple times where it almost felt like Mark went with Dub at the 5. It's almost like we don't Chet doesn't have it more so than I want to try this, because he had 6 points, 2 of 9 shooting. He only took 1 3, 6 rebounds. He had 1 block. He just didn't feel impactful. And he's a guy, Shaq was on a podcast. I can't remember which one. And they were talking about like superstars or like a big three. They were asking him how he would compare Oklahoma City's first era's big three to this big three. And he said, we throw out names too quickly. Yeah. And he was like, I'm big with Shea, and he loves Dub, but he's like, Chet's a great role player right now. He's not that superstar. And the reason why, I mean, Shaq was courtside tonight, but Chet has so many of these games where he's almost not noticeable. And it obviously you have the handicap of his hip and everything, but it's the NBA Finals, and you need, like, if Chet goes 3 of 9, we're recapping a Thunder win. If Dub goes 7 of 19, we recap a Thunder win tonight. And it's a game of margins, and the Thunder have to get back and figure out how to make the margins flip towards their side. And I mean, it's the biggest must win of the season on Sunday night in Oklahoma City.
Yes, you have to win. You have to win. You have to find a way to score more points than the other team. whether that means turning them over 20 times again and hitting some shots and them not hitting as many shots. You have to find a way to win. There's no other
And they
way to
did
say
it against Denver. I mean, they won that game by 40. I'm not claiming that because Halliburton, Siakam, he was mic'd up tonight, so I'm sure that'll be blasted all over Twitter and everything for the next 48,
Yeah,
72 hours.
I'll be off social media.
Yeah. But him and Siakam were talking in the tunnel on the way out. It was like, we didn't even play well. Like, let's go get another one, you know? So I don't think this is going to be a situation where the Pacers are like, okay, we did our job. We got one in Oklahoma City. They've gotten the first two in the last two series, at least. And I'd have to go back, and I can't remember if they did it in the Bucks game, in the Bucks series.
But I bet they did. They swept the Bucks.
They were the home. They were the 4 seed, so they were at home.
Oh.
But they went on the road in Cleveland, won the first 2 games. They went on the road in New York and won the first 2 games. And that was a huge key in this series of like, can the Thunder get up and push them with their backs against the wall to see how they respond? Because we know the Thunder have done it. They've responded all year, but you hadn't seen the Pacers do that. And when you're hitting shots like they did tonight, especially Halliburton and Turner and Nembhard and Nesmith, they all hit at least one shot in that fourth quarter that just kind of was like, dang.
Yeah.
Like, really? Like, they didn't feel like great shots. And in the NBA, these guys are so good, they're not really bad shots anymore with what they're taking. And they'll figure something out. I think the biggest key and takeaway is, I think a lot of people were overlooking the Pacers. I think you could look at this 2 ways and say that, like I said, we overlooked the Pacers. They should be taken way more serious, and this goes the distance. And I also think you could say Mark got a little cute with his rotations. Whenever you don't start double big, it takes the regular rotations out of order. You don't have like Hartenstein coming out or Chet coming out in the first 4 minutes, and then kind of like everything that you had seen in the last couple series that we were playing great under. You switch that up with going single big and Kaysen. Like, you don't have Kaysen and Caruso checking into the game to spell and amp the defensive intensity up after you just had Lou Dort and Dub and Shea chasing you around. But the Thunder can adjust, and I don't want to talk like serious predictions. I had Thunder in 5, and mathematically that's still on the table. And if you told if you told me the Thunder found a way to win the next 4 games, it wouldn't shock me, because that's how good I think this team is. Now, is it likely? No. You had to win to go in Oklahoma City to do that. But worry about Sunday. Take care of Sunday, and you'll know a lot of everything that you need to know about this series Sunday at around 10, 11 o'clock at night with how the Thunder respond.
Yep.
But Chris, anything else for the people and all of their misery for the next 72 hours?
No, talk to a friend. Talking to Ben has helped. I think letting some frustration with a friend is going to be helpful. But remember, it's a single game. They're gonna respond like they have all season. I expect them to respond like they have all season. So have some faith in the boys. Have some faith in the program that they've built. It's the NBA Finals. The other team wants to win just as bad as they do. So it's gonna be a knife fight. You're gonna have to get in there and really
championships are not given. They are earned. and we went this entire. We're about to log off. We went this entire segment and podcast without saying, like, Shea had 38 tonight. Like, Shea played great. He had some shot making in the fourth that felt a little he missed the last one that would have put us up 3. He was 14 of 30, so pretty respectable there. 50% from 3. The last thing before we wrap up, when you look at the box scores and you see the point distribution amongst teams, whenever you go to ESPN and it shows like points, rebounds, and assists and the leader for each team, we had Shea at 38. Their leading scorer had 19 points.
Yeah.
And if you'd have told me that going into this game, I'd be like, oh no, they would need a Siakam to go for 30 or Halliburton to go off or Miles Turner to go nuclear and somehow drop 25.
Obi Toppin hit 5 of 8 threes.
See, that's what matched Dort. Dort and him almost canceled out, and then their shooting from everybody else took over because they had 6 guys in double digits. We had 4 guys in double digits, and it just
Wasn't enough.
Wasn't enough. But it's gonna sting. It should sting. It's the NBA Finals, and I know it stings for those 15 to 17 guys in that locker room, and we're gonna see what they're made of come Sunday night. They've responded all year. I expect them to do it again, and we'll be back to recap that one. Hug a friend. Enjoy some sunshine. Hopefully this weekend. It was raining all day here, at least before the game. We were
which I thought
drenched.
was a good omen.
I did too. There are a lot of things I thought were good omens, but
can't take anything for granted. Have fun with this. Have fun with the finals.
Yeah, enjoy it.
2012, we thought we'd be back a lot, but you never know. You never know.
Thunder up, everyone. Enjoy the weekend, and we will talk to you again on Sunday. See you.
All night long, party, party, we like to party, 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 all night long, party, party, we